Good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Feil of Richner Communications, and I am thrilled to welcome all of you here tonight to Herald's Inside LI webinar produced by Richner Communications. This is Living 50 Plus, Health, Wealth, and Self, presented by AARP Long Island. Now, for those of you who have joined us in the past, and those of you who even haven't, this is the third in our three-part webinar series. That first we did health, then wealth, and tonight is all about self. Of course, they all come together. Tonight is going to come together as we declutter your space, declutter your mind, and we're going to discover the magic, yes, magic, of organized living. We are all overwhelmed by clutter. Even the neatest, quote unquote, among us, we need to get organized. We need to declutter our space. So if you don't know where to start, if this is a challenge for you, do not worry. You are not alone. I'm there with you. All of our audience is there with you tonight, and we're going to get some answers. Now, you have to remember, when you declutter your home and your workspace, your office, your bedroom, wherever it is, it's not just about cleaning things up, quote unquote, but it's about decluttering your mind. And this is going to enhance your well-being. So this is all going to get tied in tonight. Now, they're organizing skills. It's not all just magic. There's actual skills that you're going to learn, and they are teachable and learnable by all of us, which is a big relief to me personally. We have professional organizers because we always bring you the ultimate experts for all of our topics. We have Marie Limpert and Anne-Marie Brogan. Now, they are the co-owners of Organize Me of New York, and they're also the co-authors of the book Beyond Tidy: Declutter Your Mind and Discover the Magic of Organized Living. That's from Skyhorse Publishing. Now, to kick things off, to start us on this journey tonight toward that more organized life, it is my pleasure to introduce Bernard Macias, the Associate State Director, Long Island, AARP, New York. Bernard.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric. Greetings, everybody. On behalf of AARP New York, I would like to welcome you to tonight's self-webinar from our series. Again, my name is Bernard Macias. I am the Associate State Director for AARP on Long Island for community outreach and engagement. And I serve close to 500,000 members across Nassau and Suffolk. Nationwide, AARP is 38 million members strong, and 2.5 million of those members live right here in New York State. A little bit about AARP. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. AARP works to strengthen communities and advocate for what matters most to families, with a special focus on health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. So remember this about AARP. We're all about health, wealth, and self, which is why we titled this wonderful series, our Health and Wealth and Self. And that's why AARP Long Island and Herald Inside LI is so proud to present this program. So as Eric said, if you joined us back in August, we had our health series, which was a wonderful program that we brought up to all of you, a 101 on eating well. We talked about fruits and vegetables, and we also had a cooking live segment. And then in September last month, it was all about our focus on wealth. And we had great panelists who shared very important information and tips on how to better prepare for retirement. And tonight, the last of our series, it's all about self. We have a very special personal fulfillment program for you, the Declutter Your Space while you declutter your mind. Consider it, like Eric said, it's a time for cleansing, for your home and personal. And I think we can all agree that between last year and this year, we had a lot more time in our hands to assess, how important it is to reduce our stress in our surroundings, find simple ways to physically decrease tension without leaving your home, work on your personal wellness, and concentrate on the importance of self-care. So as you can see, all these webinars cover a wide range of topics. I'm so happy you can join us tonight. More about AARP, we focus on supporting communities through the state to connect without ever leaving your home. So, I put it in the chat. If you want to find us, please find us for more events like this at aarp.org/near-you. And Eric, right back to you in the program.
Thank you so much, Bernard. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our experts for the evening. And as Bernard said, there are millions of people out there and they all need help decluttering. So remember that as we're going through there in our audience, you are not alone. I cannot stress that enough. It makes me feel so much better to know there are millions of people out there who need the same kind of help and guidance that I do. So Marie and Anne-Marie, they just started their 15th year. They specialize in clutter control. What a great term that is, clutter control, paper management, time management. There's that never-ending to-do list that we all have to get to, and space maximization. Now, they teach organizing strategies and they personalize organizing systems to align with their clients' wishes and their goals and their needs, because every single one of us has a different approach to living, to organizing, to how we need to declutter. So they really work with the individual person, the need, although there are plenty of overriding factors that we can all learn from and that they're going to address this evening. Now, in addition, Maria is a third-degree black belt and a karate instructor. So she's afraid, there's no bit of clutter that she's afraid to tackle. And Anne-Marie is a life coach with a certification in applied positive psychology. And if you could see my office, you would know the power of a positive approach that is necessary tonight. So it is my pleasure to welcome you, Marie. Anne-Marie, take us away.
Thank you so much, Eric and Bernard. We're so thrilled to be here representing the Self segment in this 3-part series. People don't always make the connection, but the truth is both organized and disorganized living influence how we show up in the world, one positively and the other not so positively. Both affect confidence, reliability, trust, mood, how we communicate with others, and how well we manage our emotions. Both affect how much quality time we have for the people and the activities that we love. They impact how we manage our money. They affect how other people perceive us. Both affect how much energy we spend, and that in turn impacts how quickly we get depleted. So that's a lot of influence in our lives. So the question that we invite everyone to reflect on tonight is, which supports your dreams for you and your family? Organized or disorganized living?
We have 8 organizing principles that we teach our clients. Tonight, we're going to focus on the 5, which we feel have the biggest impact right away. Please keep in mind that we did not invent all of them, but we have a unique way of teaching them. For each principle, we will explain not only what to do, but why we are asking you to do it and how it will impact you. Each one saves you time, money, space, and energy. When you master them all, you will be able to weave them together to create these customized organizing systems that will support your goals and the way in which you want to live. Some of our slides this evening contain actual client photos and are used with their permission.
So part of tonight's webinar, it's a unique approach we're taking. There is audience participation. We want to know what you're thinking out there. So we're going to get started with a poll question. Now, again, this is a poll. It's not a test, so there's no wrong answer. It's really, again, to help you get an assessment of yourself. So the question, our first poll is, what level of organization do you feel best describes you right now? Now, is it, I am not organized at all. I never was. I was not born with this organizing gene, as they call it. I'm not at all organized, but I used to be, and I've just kind of gotten off track. I'm somewhat organized, but I want to get to the next level. Or I am an organizing guru, and I'm pretty sure I can teach you a few things. So go ahead, answer the poll. Again, do not be afraid because it's all anonymous. Your answer is going to help us drive this discussion tonight.
And we have had some gurus show up in several of our presentations.
I am not among them, but again, that's what we're here to learn.
Okay, the poll should be, the poll is up, right? Everyone's seeing it? They should be able to activate it. Okay, I don't know if anybody is actually, oh, we're having some people who are raising their hands.
I could try to relaunch it and see if that works.
Yeah, let's try to do that.
With the poll, let's try it again. Oh, it's coming up as sharing results. All right, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to stop and then see if I can relaunch the poll. Relaunch, let's see. How's that? There we
Okay,
go.
now we're getting, okay,
Now
good.
now they're rolling in.
Exactly. I was wondering, I'm like, where are all the participants?
I don't know. It was
And
saying
look at
share
all-
results, so I knew it wasn't over.
I know. Thank
They had to
goodness. I'm glad
declutter
people
their
are
desks.
participating. So glad everyone's participating. That's great. It's always interesting to see like how people answer, because it's a good way for us to know what kind of group we have, but also for the person who's answering to kind of see how, you know, they compare with other people, because everyone's always feeling like they're the worst, you know, but, you know, this kind of makes you feel like, you know, at least you're not alone type of thing, which is good, you know. And it looks like we have a good percentage of people are saying they're somewhat organized, but they want to get to the next level. So, so we're at like 78%. Does everybody else see that as well? Maybe.
Yep.
All right. So let's end the poll. I think that's a good number, and we'll share the results so our audience can see it as well. All right. So we have 54% of you that feel that you're somewhat organized, but want to get to the next level.
And we do have some gurus.
We do. All right. So 24% of you feel you're not at all organized, but you used to be. So something got you off track, which that definitely happens, especially nowadays. And then we have some people, 17% not at all organized and never was. I wasn't born with the organizing gene. So let's stop the share and we will continue. All right. So besides the reasons mentioned in the poll, there are other possible reasons of why people may become disorganized. Maybe you transition from working full-time in an office to working from home, like a lot of us had to during, you know, the pandemic last year and still are. Maybe you gave up your career to be a stay-at-home mom or dad, or you're retired now. Maybe you are taking care of an elderly parent or a family member who needed to move in with you. Or perhaps you are, you know, just downsized from a large home to a smaller house or apartment. Everyone has their own story with a different set of circumstances, unique personality, certain habits to consider, and family dynamics for sure. The question we normally ask our clients when they call us for help is, are you willing to change your behavior in order to move forward?
And the key to changing behavior is to focus on mindset, because the two are very strongly related. Our thoughts are very powerful. Are your thoughts about your own organizing abilities positive and hopeful, or are they negative and defeatist? We don't have time tonight to dive into the neuroscience, but research studies confirm our ability to develop new habits, to learn new skills, and to gain knowledge at any time. It's not that some people have the organizing gene and others don't. Anyone can improve and learn. So don't write yourself off and say, I'll never be organized. The only thing holding you back might be your thoughts. We invite you to approach the organizing process with a growth mindset. A person with a growth mindset understands that talent and ability aren't fixed, but rather starting points for what's possible with hard work, dedicated practice, and a sincere desire to learn. They view setbacks as opportunities to grow, not as personal failures. So their emotions remain hopeful and positive. And this helps them to see possibilities in a way that negative thinking does not. It keeps them motivated and engaged, and it helps them think outside the box. People with a growth mindset are solution focused rather than problem focused, because organizing is trial and error. There will be perfectly good systems that won't work for you and your family. That's okay. Activate your growth mindset and view these setbacks as opportunities to learn what does work for you and your family. Stay curious and keep going. And don't forget to celebrate the wins. Every step that you take forward, however small, should be celebrated, which again, keeps the emotions positive.
Keep in mind, there's no right or wrong way to organize, as long as there's an organized way. I mean, Amory and I are a perfect example of this. We both apply our same organizing principles to our homes, but a little differently, since the size and layout of our spaces are different and our family dynamics are different. We each have our own way of organizing, but in the end, we're both still organized. We want you to think in terms of education. Some people are starting out in kindergarten, others are in elementary, middle, or high school, and some are even in college and beyond. But even in kindergarten is important because it's where we learn the basics like the alphabet. So if you are in kindergarten, you're at A. Don't look at those perfect pictures on Pinterest and think organization is out of your reach. Pinterest is a Z. You have to run your own race. We want you to think in terms of going from A to B, from B to C, and so on, and not to make that leap from A to Z, which really could be very overwhelming and ultimately demotivating. So the good news is, no matter how disorganized you think you are, or you are, if you are willing to commit to changing your mindset, which then affects your behavior, you can learn to become organized. You just need some skills and systems to follow.
And it also helps to really understand what it means to be organized. And there's very often confusion around this. Being organized is not how neat and tidy your space looks like on the outside. We have seen many a perfect looking home where there was chaos behind every cabinet door and in every drawer. And then there have been somewhat messy homes where the homeowner was actually quite organized. The simplest way that we can describe it is to say, being organized is knowing what you have and where to find it when you need it. Easily, without stress, and without disrupting the rest of your space. It's about managing your space so you don't lose time, money, or energy replacing things that you already own because you can't find them. And it's not the fancy products you buy. Those products can't organize on their own. We want you to think of them as tools. The true organization is mindset and behavior and the ways in which you use them. So, for example, say you wanted to get your paper under control. You might go to Staples and buy a nice filing cabinet and fancy file folders and labels and things like that. But in the end, your paperwork is not going to file itself. There needs to be an organizing system in place. In this case, a paper management system, so you know what to do. Otherwise, the products will just sit there.
Throughout the organizing process, we want you to think in terms of spaces rather than actual rooms. So for example, a drawer, a closet, or a small section of a room can be a space to focus on, or the whole room itself. No matter how big or small, the process is still the same. So these principles apply to any area you're trying to organize.
And here they are. So the first one, everything deserves a home. Our second one is sort through your belongings and group like with like. Our third, create associations between your things and where they live. The fourth one is manage your space so you can manage your inventory. And the fifth one for tonight is finish the task.
Our first organizing principle is not part of the process itself, but it's a blanket concept to keep in mind. Everything deserves a home, which is our mantra. So I want you to just think about something. No matter what we do each day, eventually we all return home, right? What if you applied this concept to your things? Where do your things live? If everything at a home and returned home after each use, theoretically, there would be no clutter. Well, what is clutter? It's a series of deferred decisions and homeless items. Clutter builds up when things are not returned to their homes or when they don't have a home to return to yet. There are many types of clutter, but the one that many people get stuck on is what we call for now clutter. So imagine a big pile of clutter. And there it is, magically appears. Not sure if you can tell by looking at this picture, but this is someone's dining room table. It didn't start out that way though. It started out as one for now. For now clutter starts with one item that you place down because you haven't decided what to do with it yet, or it doesn't have a designated home, or it belongs somewhere else out of your reach, or you were in a hurry and didn't want to deal with it at that moment, thinking you'd save time. So you say to yourself, I'll just put this here for now. What's ironic is this will almost always cost you time later on. Bottom line, all your belongings should have a specific home, and they should be returned to their homes after you're done using them to avoid the buildup of clutter. How do you decide where the homes will be? Well, before we can declutter a space and organize it, we need to know what's in it and how much of everything is staying. This brings us to our second organizing principle, which is sort through your belongings and group like with like.
So grouping like with like is another one of the principles you may have heard before. We call it the helping principle because it works hand in hand with the others. Tonight, I'm going to discuss how it makes the decision-making process easier, since purging and letting go is difficult for so many people. We have found that people don't always remember what they have and how much of it they have. And that's because the same item or category of items is often located in multiple places throughout the home. It never seems like too much until it's all together. So if you decide to organize a space and you were to dump the contents into a big pile and then pick up each item one by one and try to make decisions without any context, it would be very overwhelming and energy draining, and it might also cause a lot of anxiety. And this was the case for one of our clients whose basement storage area we organized. I'm going to pull up some photos to help illustrate this. So this client has no garage, no attic, and no shed in the backyard. So this space is super important. So here's what it looked like when we got there. So notice that there's stuff on the floor and that the shelving unit isn't being used to its full potential. So when we go into the room, there's more stuff mixed all together. And you can see that this wall space over here isn't being used at all. So there was definitely a lot going on, but there was no method of keeping track. So imagine if we had asked them to make decisions one by one. Not only would they have been stressed, but they would have lost stamina a lot quicker because decision-making drains us of mental energy. So to make the process less overwhelming, Marie and I sorted through all of their things and grouped like items together to create categories. We started by clearing what was on the floor first, which gave us more space to work. Mm-hmm. And then as we sorted, the different categories emerged. We created temporary handwritten labels to keep track of each pile. We then asked our client, do these categories live anywhere else in your home? And if so, please go get the items and add them to the sorts that we have here, which they did. Mm-hmm. So to give you an idea, here are the different categories that we found in the space. And there's quite a few. We found luggage, gardening equipment, sports equipment, serving pieces and party supplies, gift wrapping supplies, pet food and other pet items, a category that we call utility, which consists of tools and batteries and paint supplies, filters, light bulbs, etc. And not pictured was all of their holiday decorations and other things, like overflow items like extra water bottles. So once we had all the categories sorted, We then had the client look at one pile at a time and make decisions. And whenever the category was small enough, we actually removed them from the space and had them make decisions away from the other piles, so not to be distracted or stressed out by them. And we recommend this whenever possible. We promise you, they made different decisions than they would have had we not sorted. Sorting and grouping by category helped in several ways. The client was able to focus and make informed, intelligent decisions based on actual knowledge of what they had and how much. Their anxiety levels decreased and they had more energy and stamina. And Marie and I were able to make better recommendations about how to store what was left based on the categories and our client's vision for the space. So now I will show you the after photos. Every item you see was placed with intention, and it was based on factors such as what the client accessed most frequently and, quite frankly, their personal preference. And remember that wall space that wasn't being used? We were able to recommend that they purchase another shelving unit to maximize that wall space. We used the storage containers that they already owned, and everything is now grouped and stored by category, and it makes it so easy for them to find what they need. But it all started with the sorting process to make decisions easier. Letting go can be hard. So we always want to balance the emotional part of it with rational thought. We want you to think in terms of what you are building and creating, rather than what you are giving up or losing. And a final note about this principle: take into consideration your organizing level when sorting. So for example, those holiday decorations that aren't pictured. If you're starting at the very beginning with organization, just having all your Christmas or your Hanukkah decorations gathered together is being organized to a certain level. Celebrate that. If you are further along on your journey, you might then do subsorts by separating out ornaments from lights and outdoor from indoor. So that is grouping and sorting. So Marie now is going to talk about our next principle, which is creating associations between your things and where they live. This is an important one, and it is often overlooked.
After sorting and grouping your items by category or like with like, you now have a good sense of what needs to be housed together. Creating associations between your things and where they live ties back to our conceptual principle of everything deserves a home. Creating associations is really important to increase your chances for success and will take your organizing to the next level. Here's how it works. For each category you have, designate one specific home for it, and then mindfully create the association between the two. We want you to consider how the item is being used when deciding where it should live. So for example, in my kitchen, onion soup mix is used as a dip, so it's not grouped with my soups. White vinegar is used as a cleaner, so it's not grouped with salad dressings. And even Q-tips, it's used as a cleaning product to clean the dust out of the furniture grooves in my cabinet, so it's not grouped in my bathroom. If you associate one place in your home for a specific category, you will save so much time and energy looking for the things that you do need. This is particularly helpful when you're in a rush or leaving the house. Have you ever run around your house like a chicken without a head, looking for something that you need, right? We've all done it at some point or another. Or worse yet, you go out and you buy what you think you don't have because you're frustrated that you can't find it. That's a waste of time, energy, and money. Creating associations means you eliminate the rest of the home and you hone in on that one spot, similar to like how your car GPS will work, right? You know, you put in the address or the location of where you want to go, and it directs you right there. So think of this principle as your own internal GPS. You know exactly where to find that specific item or category you're looking for within your home, and you're basically eliminating everything else. Everyone in your house also should have that same association to encourage you to all shop at home first. So for example, in my house, you know, Mom, I need paper towels. Well, that doesn't really happen because extra paper towels are on the shelving unit in the laundry room and everybody knows that. Or if they're looking for ultimately like that ugly sweater around the holidays, right? They know that they need to just go in the basement. There's a bin. It's got all holiday accessories in there and it's in the back of the basement in the corner. It's not being mixed in with their bedroom dresser drawers. So they know exactly where to find that ugly sweater when they need it. This is where these categories live in my home, but in your home, they might be in different spots. I mean, Amory and I are, again, another example of how we do things differently. Case in point. Oh, Amory, can you bring up the battery picture? All right. So this is where I keep batteries in my house. They're basically nothing fancy. They're in the basement on the oil tank. My husband actually did this. We used dollar shoe boxes and he just took regular packing tape to do the labels. And he just wrote it with marker so that we're able to reuse the bin if we ever needed to. So you could see each category of different batteries. But then you go to Amory's, house and hers are perfectly aligned by battery size in her junk drawer. And yes, this is how her junk drawer looks. She has an extremely obnoxious big drawer, but basically, it shows you how, she does it one way and I do it another. So this really illustrates how perfectly we use the same principle of creating associations, but we do it differently. It's effectively working for both of us. Bottom line is you either have the item or you don't. And if you don't have it, you put it on your list. If you need it now, then you just go out and you buy it.
You know that we are in the hands of organizing gurus when an ugly holiday sweater is classified and stored as a holiday accessory. That's fantastic. This coming from someone who has 76 bottles of stainless steel cleaner because I can never find one. So again, this is inspiration for all of us out there. So we have now gone through 3 principles. We have 2 more to go. So we are in the home stretch there. And let's maybe take a moment here, all of our guests, our people watching at home, take a little stretch. You've reorganized your desk. You've got a little less clutter, so you can kind of get the room there to go do that. There we go. So doesn't that feel good? All right. So Anne-Marie.
We definitely want them to stretch and take advantage. We want them awake for this one because this is a meaty one.
That's exactly right. And again, soaking in all this information, everyone doesn't need to have it all memorized now. We can kind of soak it in, go with it, listen to it, absorb it. And again, I think going back to one of those earlier points you said about how it can feel frustrating, but it's just a challenge. And then we can overcome it. We can face it. There's no failure because failure just kind of means you're at the end. And this is an ongoing journey. So that's where we're going to go.
Perfect. It's an opportunity to grow. A failure, it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to learn and to figure out what works. And another point, like when Marie pulled up her battery picture, right? That's not making it to Pinterest. So again, another beautiful illustration of
thanks, Anne-Marie.
A perfect, like even mine is not going to make it to Pinterest. If you've ever seen Pinterest, but everything is matchy and perfect, but the point is it's a perfectly good system and it doesn't have to look like that. So again, run your own race and celebrate every win.
And start off small. I mean, we talked about that earlier, right? I mean, everyone thinks that they should do an entire room when really start off small, chew away at it like the Pac-Man board. We normally use that as an analogy, the Pac-Man has to go through each board, but sometimes he poops out, and you kind of have to just know how long you can do something for. So start off small, do a drawer, do a closet, do a shelf, whatever, So are we ready for the next poll question?
Absolutely. So,
all right.
So Anne-Marie next is going to take us down this journey, but we are going to go to our next poll question. Now, this is a pop quiz, but it's only one question. So it should be relatively stress-free. And our question is, and again, here we go with my whole stainless steel cleaner question. Do you buy first and worry about where you're going to put it later? Or do you take your available space into consideration before you make that purchase? So everybody out there at home, feel free to answer, feel inspired to answer, and also feel confident that nobody knows if you're that person buying all that stainless steel cleaner.
We always create an environment of non-judgment. There's no room for judgment in this process, and that includes self-judgment. So again, permission to be human, and we're always learning. Even Marie and I, at our level of organizing, we are always learning new things that we can use to help our clients. So, you know,
I mean, I've learned little tricks from my own daughter. My 22-year-old daughter, and how she organizes her closet, and how she knows, like, what, you wear something maybe for an hour and you don't want to put it in the wash, but you want to use it again. She taught me to turn the hanger the other way. This way I know that that particular item can be used again, or another suggestion might be, if you have a hook behind your door, maybe put it there. This way, okay, you know what, maybe later in the week I'll wear it again, so it's always little things like that. But I'm so glad to see that everyone's participating. It really is a lively crowd. You can tell from, these polls how everyone's engaged.
And thank you, everybody, for your honesty. We really appreciate it.
Okay, we got one or two stragglers, so we'll give them a few more seconds. Those numbers keep creeping up slowly.
We'll do a last call.
All right, everybody, feel confident. Dive in. This is your moment.
Oh, the numbers keep going up. We're at 79% now. All right. So I think we're good, right, guys? All right. So I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Okay.
All right. So 57% of you say you buy first and worry about where to put it later. And again, we thank you for your honesty. This presentation is also about gaining some self-awareness. You can't fix what you don't know is broken, right? And not that it's broken, but there are places where we can improve always. And so these types of polls help us also to kind of gain self-awareness about where are we getting stuck. So thank you for your honesty. And we applaud all of you who are thinking about, okay, do I have room for this before I make a purchase? So that's fantastic. I'm going to stop the share. And now we can move forward with manage your space so you can manage your inventory. So what do we mean by inventory? It's your belongings, it's your things, it's your stuff. And ideally, your space should determine how much inventory you have. One of the reasons clutter develops is buying first and worrying about space later. Now, this is a huge principle, which could be its own presentation. So tonight we're going to focus in on three concepts. The first is prime real estate. The second is shopping at home first. And the third is placement of items. So let's start with prime real estate. Prime real estate are the easily accessible storage areas in your home. These areas should be used for the things you need to access all the time. They should not be used for things that you rarely access, like long-term filing or seasonal items like Marie's family's ugly sweaters. Think of the areas in your home. Which ones would you consider prime real estate? And now we invite you to think about what you have stored in them right now. Are they things that you need all the time? Or are they filled with stuff that you never use? Now hold that thought. The next concept is shopping at home first. The size of your prime real estate will determine how you use it. Decide how much space you can allocate for a particular category, and then don't exceed that space. Don't overbuy for that category, even if it's on super sale. This is how you control your space. If you do like to buy in bulk, like Marie and I do, and you have excess, establish an overflow area. If you run out of something in your prime real estate, then shop at home first in your overflow area. And this is what Marie was talking about earlier during creating associations. She talked about the extra rolls of paper towels, right? Her entire family knows if they need a roll of paper towels, they go down to her overflow area in her basement and they shop at home first. This is what she was referring to. Now, the third concept, and probably the biggest in terms of managing your space, is placement of items, the actual placement. Consider the saying, eye level is buy level. Supermarkets intentionally place items that they want you to buy right at eye level. In your home, you can use this technique to your organizing advantage. So say you set a goal to eat healthier. Place the healthy foods at eye level on the shelves of your refrigerator and your pantry. Make it as easy as possible to see and access them. And then place the junk food and the foods that you wish to avoid higher up or down lower. This is an example of how organizing can help support your goals. And another point Marie made when she spoke about creating associations is the idea of seeing at a glance. I either have it or I don't. I'm going to pull up some photos now to help illustrate this, because we don't want to lose time and energy in this process. So these next couple of photos are of a shelf in my own pantry. So as you will notice, I can look at this shelf and I can see at a glance whether or not I need something. So how should you place items on the shelf? This is where the helping principle of sorting through your belongings and grouping like with like helps with managing your space. Items should always be stored together by category. When the items are exactly alike, they should be placed one behind the other, taking up the entire depth of the cabinet, like you see here. This is important so nothing gets lost in the back, which is what we call the abyss. We recommend placing them in order of expiration date with the most recent date in the front. We can't tell you how much expired food we have had to throw out for our clients over the years, even when the items had a very long shelf life. Now, in this next view, you will see that when I have more chicken broth, I can no longer see all the way to the back of the shelf for the almond milk, but there's no guesswork. I know whatever item is in the front is the same all the way to the back. And notice, I don't fill a space just to fill it. I intentionally space out the rows of items and I don't overbuy in any category. This is how I manage my space and my inventory. And in this last view, it's very easy to see at a glance that I need almond milk, but I don't need any chicken broth. Therefore, my purchases are always very intentional. I don't waste time or spend money unnecessarily on things that I don't need, and I don't exceed space in my prime real estate. Now, what if the items are not exactly the same? We still want you to store items by category. However, we don't recommend placing them right on the shelf in this case. Instead, we recommend putting them in a bin and then using that bin like a drawer on your shelf. And I'm going to play a video now that we recorded back in 2017 that shows you how to do this. And just keep in mind that the category I'm talking about in this video is condiments. Something like this. This is by InterDesign. They're called bins, B-I-N-Z. We are big fans. You may have heard us talk about them in other videos. And what we do is we take the different items and we place them in the bin like this. And then the bin sits on the shelf. So if I need something, I pull out the bin and then I can see what's in here. I take what I need and I push it back in. Or I can put it back in and push it back in. So nothing gets stuck in the back. I'm not guessing what's in the back because I can very easily, without destroying the whole rest of the shelf, figure it out. So it's really, really easy. And if you're worried about investing in these organizers, you don't have to, because you can absolutely use shoe boxes or any other kind of container that you come across that's less expensive. You can go to the dollar store. It does not need to be anything that is breaking your wallet. And that's a really important point. The InterDesign bins are terrific, but they aren't needed to create this organizing system. Remember that the real definition of organizing has to do with mindset and behavior. The products we use are just tools. So this behavior can be learned using any rectangular container, even a sturdy shoebox. Once you've established good habits, then you can decide whether you wish to invest in the clear bins. So now Marie is going to show you how she uses similar bins in her home.
So here's a picture of my snack bin. This product was bought a few years back in Target. It's from the company called Eat So. And it holds all different types of snacks in my house: Rice Krispies treats, granola bars, fruit snacks, biscotti, anything you can think of at that moment. And it's labeled with a general category rather than only a specific product name. So if a new snack is bought, it might be the flavor of the week, I can just add it to the bin. This bin lives above my fridge. It's strategically not placed at eye level because honestly, I don't want to be tempted myself to go and grab a snack from there. But I have to tell you, it does come in handy when I have a bunch of hungry kids over, looking for something quick to eat. Everyone knows where to find the snack bin, and it's a great quick grab and go food. Notice I don't keep snacks in the original boxes. So in this example, here's a big box. Often people try to shove these boxes in their pantries, but as snacks are eaten down, they can't tell how many are left in each box. And sometimes only to find that maybe one snack is left when they thought that they had more. Plus the boxes end up getting all ripped up and they take up unnecessary space on the shelf. So for me, I had to be strategic with my prime real estate in my kitchen because I don't have a lot of shelving for food. And this bin ultimately saves space because the original packaging of all the snacks is eliminated. Everyone can now see at a glance what snacks to choose from and how many are available. Here's another example of using an interdesign bin. And I use it in my house to corral mixed items of the same category. So it's a sampling of all the starches that we eat. So a little quinoa, a little jasmine rice, some mashed potatoes. I think there's even buckwheat in there. So since I buy in bulk, to try and store these oversized boxes in my pantry would be impossible. So instead, I place only a sampling, like maybe 1 or 2 individual pouches for each type of starch in the bin. And the rest are stored in my overflow area, which is in my basement on a shelving unit. By placing these pouches in the bin, it prevents them from toppling over and slipping on the shelf too. The bin corrals the items and makes it easy to grab what I need. And when I run low, I shop at home in my overflow area. The last thing I want to just mention is this cabinet. If you could picture these 2 cabinets, one on top of the other, it makes up one tall pantry, which is from floor to ceiling, and it's counter depth like my refrigerator. So I use long and deep bins to group different categories and use each bin like a drawer on a shelf. So each shelf is a different category and it's labeled that way. And the foods that are used more frequently are stored at eye level, like the tuna fish or the soups. We enjoy in our house too all different types of ethnic food, but the ingredients needed are only used once in a while. So to help manage my space, those foods are kept up high on the top 2 shelves, and they're not at eye level because they're not used every day. And all the ingredients that we would need for these, different ethnic foods might be like some Asian ingredients or Spanish ingredients, and they're all grouped together, and there's never any guesswork of what's needed because I just pull out the bin and I see what I have.
That really is a great illustration of how it wraps the whole thing up with how to use the bins effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge because it was such a narrow space, and there was always stuff getting lost in the back. So the bin on the shelf really did help with that, because you just pull it out and nothing gets lost in the back.
Yeah, and I've had to access stuff from this cabinet in your home just from being over, and it's so easy to find, even for somebody who doesn't live there. It's so easy to find what I might be looking for in her house. So it's really, really cool. So that we are now up to the last principle, if you could believe this, And that one is called finishing the task. Finish the task. And what do we mean by this? Finish the task is seeing a task through to the very end. Because sometimes it's not that you don't know what to do. And it's not that you even don't do what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you do, but only to a certain point, and then you stop, like just short of the goal. Sometimes people have mastered all of the other principles, and this is the one that trips them up. Finishing the task means committing to the follow-through, and most importantly, not starting another task before you finish this one.
Finishing the task seems simple. It really does, simple enough. But when is a task actually finished for you? So we're gonna pull up my laundry basket. Is my laundry finished? Normally, I'm just asking this as a rhetorical question, but if you had to guess, Eric, do you think my laundry's finished here?
From a man who thinks laundry is never finished, I'm going to say yes, that actually looks finished.
Well, and for most people, they would think it's finished, but it really is not finished. And I'm going to tell you why. When is laundry actually finished? Well, it's done when it's all put away in the drawers or hanging in the closet. That's when your laundry is finished. It's not done if it's just folded and sitting in the basket. For some who aren't good at time management and forget to finish the task on a timely basis, this could really pose a problem. And I want to paint this real picture for you. Say you're a family of 4. Your daughter is looking for her favorite shirt, so she rummages through your basket of folded clothes, which then leads to them all getting messy and unfolded. Unbeknownst to your son now, he thinks the clothes aren't clean, so he puts his wet towel, just took a shower, puts it in the basket. He takes his dirty clothes and puts it right on top. Now, a little while later, right, your husband comes along, who's kind enough to bring what he thinks is a basket of dirty clothes to the laundry room, all ready to be washed yet again. And this has happened to a couple of our clients where anybody couldn't tell by looking at the basket. So to be safe, they decided to rewash the entire basket of clothes. And now it's a mixture of because it was a mixture of clean and dirty clothes. So we can really, relate to this. And if you talk about food or clothing shopping, think about this. It's not complete until you've unpacked your bags and put everything away. And with food, sometimes people manage to put away all the necessary items, like all the perishables, right? Because we don't want them to be spoiled. And maybe some pantry items that belong right in the kitchen where they're where they're in their accessible homes. But the rest that don't belong, that maybe belong somewhere else, are either placed on the counter or they put it on the floor. With clothing, this can happen too. You buy new items and sometimes you leave them in the store bags and you shove it in the closet to unpack later because you're in a rush for some reason, but then they're forgotten about. And this leads to the mystery bag that is found way too late. I don't know if you could see, there's a mystery bag. All right, so perhaps it might be a shirt you meant to try on, for size or for look, but instead you forget about it. And now it's past the point of returning it to the store to get your full refund. So now you're stuck with it. I don't know if you remember this picture from before when we were talking about for now clutter. Well, much of this, what was going on in this dining room table, was a finish the task issue. For now clutter is a buildup of tasks that weren't finished or only partially finished. So to sum it up, the task needs to be fully completed. Then everything needs to be put away and brought back home, which ties back to our first principle that we discussed tonight: everything deserves a home.
And that brings us back full circle. So once again, here are the top 5 organizing principles that we talked about tonight. Everything deserves a home. Sort through your belongings and group like with like. Create associations, strong associations between your things and where they live. Manage your space so you can manage your inventory, and finish the task.
So as I'm watching all of that, I am convinced that you have a camera somewhere in my home. that laundry issue. And I know I'm not alone. I'm sure many of our viewers are thinking, wow, how on earth do they know that on my kitchen floor is a box of fig bars that I know aren't going to go bad? So eventually I'll put them away, but no problem right now. It really is incredible. But again, I'm hoping that it gives everybody out there the confidence that we said at the very beginning, that you're not alone. And these are all common problems, challenges, but also they can be overcome and they can be addressed. So I think that leads us to a final poll question. All right, everybody, this is it. You've all done incredibly well so far. We're going to keep the energy going. Everybody participate. Let's take a look. So look at this picture. And then when the poll pops up, you can answer the poll question. And if the poll window blocks your photo a little bit, you can manually move it over to the side so you can give it a read. And the question is this: when you look at the photo here, is this space organized or disorganized? And your choices are going to be, it's organized, it's disorganized, or I simply can't tell by looking at this picture.
All right. Oh, we got some safe players here saying that they can't tell by looking at the picture.
Mm-hmm.
It is a challenging picture, and clearly that's why we picked it.
This is going to illustrate a lot of different things that we talked about tonight. So that's why it's a good one to have our final poll question on.
And Eric, I'm glad you mentioned about how a lot of the scenarios that we brought up were common challenges, because, anybody has issues with paper, with, laundry, with, food that they're unpacking, everyone can relate to kitchen clutter, and even if you're, even if you are a grandparent, you might have, a room like this for your grandchildren, where you have like some toys and whatnot. So it really can help you as well. So we have about 64% of you. Are we going to try to get that number up in the 70s?
I think we can push it a little further, a little bit more. Everybody out there who discovered a mystery bag while they were home during COVID and said, my goodness, look at this. I have a brand new pair of shorts. It's fascinating.
The mystery bag, we find mystery bags all the time. We have a couple of things that happen all the time. The mystery bag and the I was looking for that gets said at almost every organizing session. Yep. And it's usually after, we find something at a session and they said, oh, we just went out and bought that because we couldn't find it. Again,
there was one, remember that one lady's house where we were organizing her daughter's bedroom, and she was really, into like having all these little Post-its. And I think her dad bought a lot of Post-its too. And we said to her, let's gather all of it together, all of your school supplies, all of your office supplies together. We filled up an entire gallon baggie, like those Ziploc baggies full. I mean, we packed it and packed it and packed it. They had enough Post-its to last for a whole year. Seriously, that's how many they had, but
no,
again,
but the kicker was that, remember, our client, she hung her head and we said, oh, what's the matter? And she said, I literally went to the store yesterday and bought Post-it notes.
I forgot about that. That's right.
That's the whole thing. It's like, we gave her a stuffed gallon size bag of Post-it notes. And she said, I like yesterday, literally just went and bought it.
Yeah.
You can't, that was handed to us on a platter to teach at this presentation years later, because you can't make that up, the timing of that.
All right, I think I'm going to end the poll because we're at 67% and it's been there. And here are the results. Amber, you want to say them?
Yes, it's that time of the evening where I wish I had my glasses. Okay, so 55% of you said can't tell by looking at the picture. 39% of you said it looks organized, or you think it's organized, and 5% of you said it's disorganized. So those of you who said can't tell by looking at the picture, I'm going to just stop the share for right now.
Sorry.
I can move the window. Did you select that because you really can't tell, or did you suspect that we might have, given you a trick question? The truth is there are actually two answers to this question. The answer that's specific to this photograph is organized, because it happened to be an after photo that we took after we had done this particular project. I am going to pull up so that you can see the before here. And then I'm going to go back to saying that the second answer is you can't tell by looking at the picture. That's the general answer. You can't tell by looking at the picture. Remember that sometimes a space looks neat and tidy on the outside and there's chaos on the inside. So keep that in mind when you compare yourself to others who might seem more organized and you feel bad about yourself. Don't do that because there may not be as much organization as you think. But in the case of the picture we showed you, the unit is organized. But look at the before picture, right? It's really not that much different. And to be truthful, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, take pictures with a grain of salt. Marie and I absolutely could have straightened this up. We could have tidied it up a little bit and we could have slapped a couple of labels or whatever and just said, just snapped a picture. But it would not have been organized because every single bin was a mishmash of different toys. There was no specific purpose for any of them. It was very hard to find things. There were two little girls who were playing in this space and they could never find what they needed. And they were always frustrated and they would dump everything on the floor trying to find one thing and they were making a huge mess. And it was very hard to put them away. It was very legitimately hard for them. And then how can you be mad at them? There's no way, you know, it's hard to put it away. So in the after, even though it kind of looks similar, each bin has a specific purpose. And the bins and the shelves are labeled. The ones that you see that aren't labeled, I'll just make our little caveat, is because the client decided that she didn't want this dark look in her house anymore. She wanted to buy lighter looking bins and she wanted ones where the labels would stay on better. But in that case, we gave her the labels so she had them for the new bins. And we tried to label the shelves. But the point is that each one of these has a specific purpose. So if the kids wanted to play with their Barbies, they would say, pull this one out over here, and then they would just pull it out, play with their Barbies, and then they could put them back at the end and push it back in. And it was very easy to find things. And it was very, very easy and gave them no excuse for not putting things away. So the parents were very happy.
Yeah, she was. I mean, and this was a nice size room. I mean, we didn't even show the other corner of this room, you know, but we managed to get a lot of their toys in those spaces, you know.
For sure.
So living an organized life has benefits that go so far beyond what the eye can see, including having more time for people and activities we love. We don't want to feel like we're living in chaos, drowning in clutter and unable to get our act together. We want to show up confidently in this world. Having organized systems in place helps us automate behavior, which in turn helps us save time, conserve energy, and reduce stress. It frees us up or declutters our mind so we can focus on things that matter to us. And importantly, we're totally not thrown off track when the unexpected happens. We're able to adapt and continue to move forward with minimal stress. So that's what we wish for all of you. So we hope we have inspired you tonight to start your own organizing journey. If you'd like to preview our book, please subscribe to our mailing list. And as a special thank you, you'll receive chapter 2 of Beyond Tidy, which answers the question, where do I begin? Which is really a sore spot for a lot of people. If you have many areas that need attention, this is a great first step in getting organized. So just to let you know that. And if you'd like, please take a picture of our contact slide. We do offer in-home and virtual organizing services. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram. We have YouTube videos that are very helpful to help you. You just type in what you're looking for and a YouTube video should pop up. But we want to thank AARP and the Herald so much for inviting us to be part of this webinar. Thank you. Thanks, Eric, for being a great moderator, and Bernard for sure for being the host tonight.
Oh, thank you. I mean, again, I learned as much from these webinars as anyone in our audience. I look forward to them. I love them. And this has really been an incredible one that, I mean, I'm going to start applying this stuff tonight. The minute this is over, I'm going to go out. That onion soup, it's getting off my desk. It's going to go in the cabinet where it belongs. And this is not a joke. This is right here.
That's great.
Again, the camera, no joke. It is here in the house. So We have so many questions coming in, so many of our guests really interested in asking a few questions to you. I'm going to ask a few, and then if we don't get to everyone's questions, fear not, you can go visit the website, Anne Marie and Marie, you have it on there. When we do our follow-up email to thank you all, the contact information will be there as well. But to start out, one of the questions here that we have is for couples or families who may not agree on the definition of clutter or declutter, how can they come together to really start this journey?
Oh, well,
I'll take it if you want. Basically, everyone obviously is different, right? And for some, they might be organized, the other may not be. Really, it comes down to communication. You want maybe have a family meeting, especially if an area affects everybody in the house. But it would be helpful if, everyone kind of puts aside their emotions and just, really consider, what do we want the vision for that space to look like? And if it ended up being where it's a family room and it affects everybody, then it's really important to get the input of everybody. If it's only, you and your spouse or you and your partner, whatever it might be, I think sometimes, we need to just kind of step back and understand that it might be stressful and really anxiety provoking for someone to see that clutter, whereas for the other person, it may not. I mean, this is, right, the old Odd Couple show, right? It was the same exact thing. So the meeting of the minds really needs to be kind of met, and, the communication. I don't know, Anne Marie, if you have anything else you want to add.
it's just similar. It's sometimes, well, a couple of things. Sometimes we forget that, our loved ones are not mind readers. And so we don't always express our frustration right away. We kind of let things kind of build up, and then all of a sudden it's inside of us and we explode. But meanwhile, the person who's maybe creating the clutter had no idea it was an issue because we never expressed it. So by the time we actually do communicate, it is not just this easygoing kind of rational conversation. It's this outburst of real emotion. And that really, it's real for the person who's feeling it. So we have to kind of maybe get the conversation started before it gets to that point where you feel like you want to explode. And understand that if it doesn't bother them, there's other language maybe that we can use to say, it's not just that it looks bad, it's that I really feel anxiety. And when you come at it from a more rational, kind of maybe even tone of voice, the person might be like, oh, I didn't realize that. And then you can say, okay, well, how can we come to the table and talk about this and find some common ground? And also when you've organized a space, like say you're the one who's doing all the organizing and setting up of all the systems, just like in that last photo we showed you, it's not always a big change in visual as to what it looks like. The change has come because now you know where everything is and how it's sorted and where to find things. If you don't explain to the other members of your family what you've done in a way that's understandable, they're not going to know something has changed. So when they don't follow the system, then you might get frustrated, but really that was a communication issue. So again, communication is the common thread. And also remembering that just like when you're raising children, right? You don't tell a child once and then they get it. It's constant repetition and reinforcement of good manners and things like that and everything else we teach our children, right? The same applies here, reinforcement. And again, just being compassionate throughout the journey and recognizing that the clutter didn't happen overnight. So the new system takes time to develop. Then, the new neural pathways we're creating when we create new habits takes time. So I don't know if hopefully that's helpful.
Oh, I think that's incredibly helpful. And I think that those answers go a long way to answering a number of the other questions that our viewers out there had tonight. Bernard, do you now feel after all of this, are we on our journey? I know I am, the journey toward decluttering and finding that organizational magic.
I mean, what a great presentation. I loved so many things that you spoke about tonight. The tackling of those categories, like the sorting, like with like, and I actually think I do that pretty well. In fact, I pack my groceries that way. I put frozen with frozen and perishables that way, and canned foods. And I do it that way so that I can get to the fridge and the pantry that much faster to put everything away. Emery, I sort of like a comment and a question to you, but when you talked about I consider space when purchasing things, or consider space when purchasing things,
Mhm.
I think I do that pretty well when it comes to like my closet, my room, the pantry. I don't think my wife does that so well with scented candles in particular, um, but but I don't consider space when I go to like a thrift shop or like an antique shop, or like if a neighbor drops, puts is throwing something out that I think, what, I might be able to use that. I think it's because of the investment. So what do you do for things like that? Like when you're not, so I consider space when I'm making an investment, but I don't really consider space when I'm getting free stuff,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, and that
So
that could be an issue because it's exciting to get free stuff,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
sometimes we keep it just because it's free. So again,
right.
when you have, again, one of the principles we didn't talk about tonight is creating a vision for your space, and Marie alluded to that earlier. So always, if you think about what you're building and creating and you have a vision for your space, when you bring things into your home or into that space, it helps when you can say, does this align with that vision? But because I know we're limited in time, I would say you always have to keep it like a balanced scale. And there's always a trade-off. So again, like I kept my pantry a certain way. If I decide, hey, I'm going to not follow my own rule and I'm going to take advantage of this super sale, that's going to cost me something. It's going to cost me space somewhere because my prime real estate has to hold a certain number of categories. So if I exceed the space in that category, either something else has to go, or I have to be irritated that I have to lose that control of what I have, which I don't want to do. So again, it's trying to keep that balanced scale. So when something comes in, even if it's free, do you love it? Can you use it? Right? Does it have a purpose in your home? Does it just simply bring you joy? And that could be enough of a reason to keep it. But then if it takes space away from something else, then you have to say something else may have to go in order for me to make this very intentional decision to keep it. As long as the decisions are intentional, you're still in the driver's seat.
And Marie, and I'm with you. Thank you. Marie, I'm with you. Sorry, Eric. If there's laundry, folded laundry in the basket, it's not finished. You got to put it away. You have to put it away. But this is great. Again, thank you so much to Marie and Anne-Marie, our presenters tonight. I also want to thank Eric and the Herald team for your partnership. And again, everyone, if you're looking for another topic for next year, something you'd like to learn more about in the areas of health, wealth, and self, please drop me an email at nyaarp@aarp.org. I want you to continue to connect with AARP Long Island by visiting us at aarp.org/near-you to learn more about more virtual events like this one, at-home activities. We have plenty of classes on wellness, and many, many volunteer opportunities in your area. So you can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/AARP Long Island. Thank you so much.
Bernard, thank you again so much. Thank you, AARP Long Island, not just for sponsoring tonight's webinar and the series, but truly for the education you provide, the resources you provide, the opportunities you provide. There's no value that can be put on that. So again, thank you again. Marie, Anne-Marie, thank you for your advice, your insights, your inspiration. We look forward to working and talking with you again. To all our guests out there, everyone who attended tonight's webinar, thank you so much always for being a part of it. You can find out more about future webinars by going online, visiting us at liherald.com. We look forward to seeing you again. And here is to some more organized living, to your health, your wealth, and yourself. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.